Welcome to another episode. Today we are going to go over transformations of quadratic equations. We're going to use the vertex form right here, and we're going to see what each of these letters do to the graph. And we're going to focus on the graph of x squared. Let's start with the letter A. I just put this in parentheses, so it's going to be easier to explain. But if you got a number in front of that parentheses, which is going to represent our A. For instance, let's just say we change it to a 2. Then that number right there controls how skinny or fatter this parabola is going to be. It controls the stretch of that parabola. So let's say I change that 2 into a 3, something higher. Then you can see as I increase this number, the graph gets skinnier and skinnier. Doing the opposite, if that number is less than 1, let's say it's a fraction like 1/2, then you can see that that graph will get fatter and fatter. And the closer to 0 I get, let's say something that's really close to 0, then you can kind of see that that green graph eventually will turn into a horizontal line. What if it's a negative number, like let's say -1? Then it flips that graph upside down. So a negative number flips it, and similar effect, the higher that negative number is, the skinnier it gets. If it's a fraction, then it makes it fatter. All right, moving on to that letter H, and this one is the one that confuses a lot of people because it has this kind of opposite effect. That's why there's that negative there. If I put that number inside the parentheses, it is called a translation. So let's say I put +4. Then you can see that that graph in red shifted to the left 4 units. So that letter H is really a left and right transformation, but it has the opposite effect. If I put a negative number in there, then if you were to guess that it's going to move that to the right, -2, -3, -4, it has that opposite effect. So letter H is a movement of left or right. Moving on to K, when that number is not inside that parentheses, let's say we change it to +1. Then it is an up and down transformation. +1 moves the entire graph by 1 unit, 2 moves the entire graph by 2 units, and so forth. If it is a negative number, then it would move it down. -3 moves everything down 3 units, and so forth. Let's say I have something like that. I'm trying to go from red and create transformations to match that green graph. The first thing that I always observe is the vertex of that green graph. It moved 4 to the right and up 3 units. So if you want to move something 4 to the right, the movement of 4 to the right has to be inside that parentheses, and that's the tricky one. Remember, it has the opposite effect. If I want to move it 4 to the right, I would just put -4, and now if I want to move that up, that is going to be your K value, then you would just put +3, and now we got it to match. Let me try one more. Let's say I'm trying to go from the red graph to match the green graph. There's multiple transformations going on once again. So observe the vertex first. I think that's the best place to start. And that vertex did not move left or right because it is at x equals 0. That means that I am not touching any of the stuff inside the parentheses. But that graph did shift up 4 units. So you're going to have to go to your equation and control K once again. It moved up 4, so I'm just going to change that to +4. The next thing that that green graph did is that it flipped upside down. So your A value, you know, is going to be negative. You're going to have to change that to a negative. I'm almost there. It's almost matching up. If you compare the red to the green graph, the green one's a lot skinnier, meaning the A value is going to be higher than -1. So try -2, and as you can see, now we got it to match up. So hopefully you got a better visual of how these transformations are controlled. If that helped, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.